Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Game of Thrones, Season 4, Episode 5, The Laws of Gods and Men. And, oh my god, guys, this episode it was amazing. It was by far the best episode of the season. Finally something beat The Lion and the Rose. I knew something had to beat it, and I was pretty sure that this episode was going to, because I knew we were following Tyrion's trial, which... that has been the most interesting story of the entire season for me. I just think that whole storyline has been amazing. It's really been epic, and I've loved that whole storyline all season. I think it's been a fantastic storyline. And this episode was really, really good. This episode was kind of like The Lion and the Rose, so because the first half was a bunch of other storylines, but the second half was Tyrion's trial, which was pretty surprising. I didn't expect that to happen, but yeah, that's how this episode was constructed, so let's just get to it. So the beginning of the episode, we start off with Stannis and Davos. They're sailing to Braavos. They are at Braavos, and Stannis is impatient because he's been there since midday. Davos tells him that the Easterners have a different sense of time, and they're visiting the Iron Bank for money. The members of the Iron Bank want to know what Lord Stannis wants, and they tell him that the Iron Throne is currently seated by Tommen. Now, he wants the Iron Throne, so Stannis tells them he's not related to him, and that Tommen is a bastard born of incense, and they want to know how many boats they have and how much food they have on Dragonstone to feed their men, and Davos admits they have none. The members of the Iron Bank denies their request, so Davos tells the members there that Stannis is their best chance to get the money back that is owed to him. He reminds them that Tywin is 67 years old, and won't be around for long, so if Tyrion dies, they are stuck with Cersei and Tommen, which obviously is not good, because, I mean, Tommen's a great king, that's the thing, Tommen's a great king, but what they're telling is, if Tommen dies, I mean, if Tywin dies, Stannis could get the chance, so I'm wondering if Tywin is going to die this season. I kind of think that's what they're setting up here, because they're saying that Tywin might die, so is Tywin going to die? I don't know, we'll have to see, but that was definitely really interesting. And then the next part, Stannis walks into this bathhouse. He sees his pirate friend, Saldor's son, who he remarks he thought that Davos was rotting in a cell. And Salvador asks Davos to join him. You know, he's with these two girls. You know, they're like naked in a swimming pool and everything. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. But basically, Saldor asks Davos to join him, but Davos tells him that they have no time because they sail in the morning. Davos throws him money and tells him, you won't be alone, you won't be poor. So, that was definitely, that's all we got of Stannis and Davos. Next part of the episode, we get Theon. Now, Theon, we haven't seen a lot of Theon so far this season, but we finally saw a lot of Theon in this episode, which I thought was fantastic. Basically, you know, remember how at the end of last season, we saw Theon's sister, you know, go to visit Theon. Finally, she breaks in and gets him out, because she's sailing, Yeager Greyjoy tells her men she's sailing with that, Ramsey Snow, flayed their prince and her brother, and they're going to get Theon. So, Yara gets into the dungeon, seeks Theon, tells him she's taking him home, and Theon goes insane. He's sure she's tricking him, does not want to go with him. Basically, I think the thing is, Theon has been so tortured so much that he doesn't even know if he can trust his own sister, which is actually really, really sad, that he doesn't even know if he can trust his own sister. But, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it definitely is a sad thing, and I wasn't expecting that to happen, but he doesn't trust his own sister. I mean, that's pretty big. She tells, she then says that, you know, she gets in the dungeon, seeks Theon, tells him she's taking him home. Basically, he causes such a ruckus that Ramsey hears them, comes in the dungeon, he remarks, it is turning into a lovely evening, and they start fighting from here. It's just crazy shit. It's really awesome here. A lot of, like, really good, violence here. I really like that. Yara and her men, though, Yara just turned into a badass in this scene. I mean, she really wanted to get her brother out, so, I mean, she was just a badass in this scene because she just started defeating literally all of Ramsey's men, and then she tells Ramsey to give her Theon and no one else will live. So Yara leaves, tells her men to sail away when they ask about her brother, and she tells them her brother is dead. So Ramsey Snow tells Theon he wants to reward him for not leaving with the Iron Man. He tells Theon that he has poured a bath for him. He makes him strip, and then Theon is terrified that he doesn't trust Ramsey. Obviously, he doesn't trust Ramsey because Ramsey just tortured him. And so he does not trust Ramsey. He doesn't want to do this for him. And, Ramsey starts watching him. Ramsey asks Theon if he loves him. Theon replies, yes, of course. Ramsey tells Theon that there is a castle where bad men are, and he needs Theon's help to take the castle back. Ramsey tells Theon he needs him to pretend to be someone he's not, and Theon asks pretend to be who, and Ramsey says Theon Greyjoy. Basically, again, the thing is, now he wants him to be Theon. He doesn't want him to be called Reek anymore. He wants to be called Theon, and of course, Theon is so used to be calling Reek at this point, and it's really, really sad with Theon. Now we got to, Daenerys. Now, Daenerys' dragons, we see that her dragons are getting very, very large in this episode, because we see this little child, and the dragon almost attacks this child. It's not good, though, because one of them sets fire to a field and took his goats, and this man comes to see Daenerys and tells him that he's a goat farmer because the dragons took his goats. He has nothing. She agrees to pay him 3 times the worth of the goat. So, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he asks for an audience to see Daenerys. He is from one of the oldest families of Meereen. He tells Daenerys that she crucified his father. He asks for the right to take his father down and give him a proper burial, and she agrees. So she asks how many more people are waiting for her, and she is told that 212 people are waiting for her. So I guess there's going to be sort of like a battle here between Daenerys and this other guy. I don't really know where this is going, but I guess we'll just have to see. That for me was probably the most uninteresting part of this episode. It wasn't that it was bad, it was just the most uninteresting part of this episode. So then we see the prince, who, he is part of the council that is helping Tyrion, and here we finally get the setup of Tyrion. He is going to be part of the small council for Tyrion's trial. The small council, they're meeting to discuss affairs. Tywin is told that the Hound is killing people, and basically he just says, fuck the king. Tywin tells them that they should offer more money to fight the Hounds, and Varys then tells the small council about Daenerys and her men, dragons, and 2 seasoned warriors counseling her. Prince Oberyn tells the council that the unsullied that Daenerys has are good fighters. So at the end of the meeting, Prince Oberyn comes to speak to Varys asks Prince Oberyn why he's so knowledgeable about the Unsullied, and Prince Oberyn lived 5 years where they were. So Prince Oberyn asks Varys how he got to King's Landing, and Varys tells Prince Oberyn he does not desire men or women. The absence of desire lets him pursue other things. Prince Oberyn replies such as, Varys just looks to the Iron Throne and leaves. And then we get to Tyrion's trial, which Tyrion's trial, best part of the episode by far, of course, and this is why it's the best episode of the season, because of this part right here. So Jaime comes to see Tyrion, and basically, Jaime wants to help Tyrion. You can see that Jaime wants to basically make sure that Tyrion gets off innocent. He wants his brother to be okay, and that is why Tyrion is that's why Jaime is such a great brother to Tyrion. I think Jaime is just, he's such a good brother to Tyrion. He cares so much about his brother, and, I mean, I gotta applaud Jaime for that, because he's just such a great brother to Tyrion, and you can definitely see that. So, he's brought into the throne room, and Tommen tells the court that he rescues himself from Tyrion's trial, lets his grandfather Tywin preside over the trial, because Tommen basically, I think the thing with Tommen is he does not know much of what was going on, so he's not going to get himself involved in the trial, which I think was a good thing to do, because, and that's why Tommen's such a good king. He doesn't want any blood on his hands, so he's just not going to get himself involved in the trial, which I think was the right thing to do, so then Tywin asks Tyrion if he killed King Joffrey, and Tywin basically takes over and does the rest of the trial. So Tyrion replies no. Tywin asks if Sansa killed him, and he replies, not that I know of. Tywin asks if he knows how Joffrey died. Tyrion replies he choked on his pigeon pie. And Tyrion starts to call the witness that gives testimony, and that is Maester Pycelle, who tells the court that poisons from his store were blundered, and he shows the court that a necklace that Sansa wore that had poison. And, basically, that necklace, the poison, what was it called? Oh, God, what was it called? I remember the name. There was a cool name for it, I can't remember. Let me just look. Oh, the Strangler. It was called the Strangler. That's what the poison was called. And that's a really cool name for the poison. So, yeah, the poison was called the Strangler. And, basically, Varys then gives his testimony, and when he finishes, Tyrion asks if he can ask ask the very testimony, and Tywin agreed he can just ask one question, and he has one very important question. That question is, you once said without me the city would have certainly been defeated. You said the history books would not show if you would, but would you not forget? Do you forget that, Lord Very? And Very replies, sadly, I have never forgotten anything. So, you know, that's pretty interesting, I guess, that he asked that question. Tywin then calls a break for 1 hour because he doesn't know, you know, where the trial stands and everything, so he calls a break for the trial. And basically, Jaime comes to see Tyrion. He's not pleased that Tywin is railroading Tyrion. Basically, he makes a bargain with Tywin. If he spares Tyrion, that he will quit the Kingsguard, take his rightful place as his son, and Jaime agrees to have children and support the Lannister name. Tywin agrees to spare Tyrion's life and send him to the Black Watch. So basically, Tywin said, alright, Tyrion's not going to die. I will imprison, if Tyrion did something wrong, I will imprison him, I will throw him in jail, but I will not kill him. Because Jaime he wants his brother to live, and I think that's so great of Jaime. That's why Jaime is just, like, the best brother to Tyrion, definitely. He's just such a great brother, in my opinion. Jaime then tells Tywin the plan, and he tells him to keep quiet. So, the next surprise witness, and I was so surprised that they showed her, guess who they showed next? They showed Shae. Yes, Shae. The most annoying person could have come, and that was Shae. By the way, I forgot to say, Cersei gave a testimony, and, you know, it wasn't a good testimony, but Shae basically, everything that Shae is saying is just her playing the victim card. It totally is. It is totally her, blaming Tyrion for everything, basically saying that Tyrion is this monster and everything, and basically, she tells the court that Tyrion is guilty and that he planned the death of Joffrey with his wife, Sansa. Sansa wanted revenge. Prince Oberyn asks how Shae knows all this, and she lets the court know she was Tyrion's whore, and that is not true at all. She thought she was. Okay, let's explain. Let's look at reality here, Shae. Tyrion had no interest in you. He did, for a while. Now he has no interest in you. So, you cannot play the victim card. He sent you away. He told you can go away, and now you are blaming him for this. He saved you, and you are blaming him for this. I mean, seriously, Shae is just so self-centered, and it really just shows how bad of a person Shae is. So, she claims that Tyrion kidnapped her, forced her to do things to him, and then Tyrion is so devastated, he says, Shae, please don't. And Shae says, I am your whore, remember? And she then tells the court that Tyrion wanted to sleep with Sansa, and she wouldn't let him, so he agreed to kill Joffrey for her. And Tyrion is so upset by this because he's realizing, look, I saved all of you, and this is the thanks I get in return, and then we get probably, I think in my opinion, probably the best speech from Tyrion we've ever had on the show. I think this is probably the best speech I've ever heard, maybe on the whole series of Game of Thrones. I just think this was such a great speech. He says, I wish to confess, I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf. I have been on trial for this my entire life. And, you know, I have what he said right here, and I just thought this was so good what he said. Word for word, here's what he said. He said, I did not kill your precious Joffrey, but it gave me the most pleasure any horror has given me. I wish I was the monster you thought I was. I will not give any justice. And basically what he said is, I didn't kill Joffrey, I wish I did, but I didn't. And basically what he says is, you know, my whole life, all I have done is saved all of you, and I wish I killed Joffrey, but I didn't. And, basically, the last thing that he says is very, very important, because I'm very interested in seeing where this is going to go. He says, I will not give any justice here, so I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat, which means that he is going to prove himself guilty. That is what he wants to do. He's going to try to prove himself guilty. I do not know if this is going to work. All we know is that he's not going to die, because Tywin already told Jaime he's not going to die. My question is Tywin going to betray Jaime? I don't really know if he'd do that. We'll have to see. But seriously, Tyrion just, oh my god. Peter Dinklage's acting in this episode, that was amazing. I loved his whole scene there. I thought it was very well done. I love that scene. It was fantastic. Couple other things I do want to know besides Tyrion's trial. Also, is Tyrion going to be able to prove himself guilty? I'm interested in seeing if he's going to be able to. Also, Shae. What is going to happen with Shae? Shae seriously just needs to die now. Can you just kill her? I want her dead. I seriously do. Also, Cersei was saying all this bullshit about Tyrion, and it was, I mean, it wasn't necessarily bullshit, but it was kind of, because, like, I just don't like Cersei. I don't like Cersei at all. And, pretty much also, what's gonna be interesting is, will Stannis be able to, you know, become part of, the Iron Throne if Tywin dies? Do you think Tywin's gonna die? I don't know if that's gonna happen. Theon. Can Theon trust, Ramsey? I don't think Theon should be able to trust Ramsey. I don't know. Basically, Ramsey's forcing Theon to trust him, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. And also Daenerys. It's getting very interesting with Daenerys, you know. All we know with Daenerys is that it's just getting really interesting with her. You know, she pretty much is trying to, you know, they're basically, I don't exactly know what's gonna happen with Daenerys. I guess we'll just have to see. But, it definitely is very interesting because of the dragons and everything. What's gonna happen with the dragons, I don't know. But I'm interested in seeing where things are gonna go. It definitely was a very good episode. As I said, the best episode of the season by far, just because of Tyrion's trial. I think Tyrion's trial really made the best episode. Also, you know, Yara Greyjoy becoming a badass. Holy shit, she was such a badass in this episode. It was awesome to see. And I cannot wait for the next episode. So, definitely this was the best episode of the season. I absolutely loved it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. That's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next review, which will be for the series premiere of Penny Dreadful. So, see you then. Bye.